All right, good morning. Markets are waiting for something. I don't know what it is, but it's at a moment of indecision, which I guess it makes sense. Uh, after the run up into resistance, sellers are up here as they're consolidating. It's within this, I guess, trading range now, a little bit more obvious, I suppose, on the weekly time frame. It's up at the highs and down here's the lows. And it went up there relatively fast last week. Yeah, good jobs report on Friday. I don't. Market's always focused on that. We'll see how much it means anything. We got 10 o'clock is ISM. We'll see how much they want to focus on that. Um, it ran up into resistance, and whether it's absorbing the supply consolidation before a move higher, or it's going to pull back. So just normally situations like this, generally nobody wants to buy after a run up. Want to buy on the pullback, some type of consolidation, and that's going to take time. Yeah. So, okay, markets consolidate 80% of the time. I suppose that's probably true. And depending on what time frame you look at, of course, it's consolidating in some time frame, whatever. But what creates a scenario where markets don't consolidate or run is when there's a void. And that was what this little area was right here, where there was a void. And, there was the unfilled gap and then up here. And so markets were able to run with nothing to the left, where to stop it. And the psychology of that is, look, just like we want to buy pullbacks to support, if we're long or thinking to short, we want to do that at resistance. And so when there's nothing there to trade against, there's a much higher tendency for prices to move freely toward the next reference point. And then from there, we see what they do. So yesterday, prices got rejected for a second time. And so now, the day before yesterday, there was a minor rejection. So a small topping tail. And yesterday made a lower high and a lower low. It did violate a prior bar's low on a closing basis, and it closed under the open. And so you can see the little head and shoulders type of a top there. And we'll just drag that up there. And so this morning, it's up a little bit. You see the cursor inside day in the middle of yesterday's range. And so now, we'll see in the opening 15 minutes or so which way things might go. Do sellers show up immediately and knock it back down? Or does it hang up there? Right? That's what we do day to day as intraday traders. At the end of the day, we'll see, okay, there was the open. Did it close green? Did it close red? Did it close above a prior bar's high or below prior bar's low? Or was it an inside day, which would, okay, now we got another consolidation going on at the end of the day, which initially we say is bullish, that it's able to consolidate sideways, right, at an area of price resistance. And so as time goes on, one of the things that I had mentioned back here, where we had this similar kind of move up, and it began to consolidate. There was some news event that came out at this time. And so over a period of time, you could say buyers are stepping up here. And then at some point, somebody blinks. It's like, hey, it ain't going up. It runs out of time, right? What I said, it just ran out of time. And traders get nervous. And so now going into the fourth day here, and usually, look, if this is going to pull back 3 to 4 days, 5 at the outside, it's going to happen. So the best thing it could do would be to start pulling back today, because the longer it goes sideways, the more it creates an area of overhead supply that could drive prices significantly lower. Again, maybe jobs report, whatever it is, So we're kind of like in limbo here, waiting to see which way things are going to go one way or the other. So going into today, and since it's gapping up, it's got to travel a little distance to get to yesterday's low, to break yesterday's low. And obviously it's got to travel a little distance up above the top of the range, right, to get above that, right? There's an ISM and then there's an oil number, I think at 10:30. So, we'll see how this unfolds. And so resistance up here, right? These highs. And now that's been rejected twice, an ability to get up there would show us that buyers are confident and taking control after a day that buyers gave it up. Right. All right. So SPX, let's look at the futures first. SPX. And so a little green day, beginning of the day, really doesn't mean much. You can see the whip up and down, up and down. And so as we start getting opposing pivot highs versus opposing pivot lows, we get a trading range. It's as simple as that. And you bring that down there. And so just in the middle of it, which ways are going to go, flip your market coin and take your best guess, because there's a little void above and not so much of a void below, but this congestion there, but we're just waiting to see which way is going to go out of this chop. Would you sometimes consider volume in a sideways movement? Thane, volume, we say it's a secondary thing. And the reason I don't pay much attention to volume other than, is there liquidity? So just looking at these, futures contract, sure, there's a lot of liquidity. If I looked at Apple, Microsoft, Meta, so on and so forth, there's plenty of liquidity there. So over the years, I've seen, markets go against the accepted knowledge that, markets need increasing volume to go up to be reliable. I've seen markets go up for a long time on lower volume. I've seen them go down on lower volume. The primary thing about volume is volume spikes that you want to pay attention to. Whether it's going higher or lower on higher or lower volume, you can pay attention to it. But I've just gravitated over the years to less is more, because it's easier for me to think. And I think about price action. What's to the left? What's the trend? And so on, versus trying to incorporate what is it going up on higher volume. It's going up. Who's going to argue with that? It's going up. Now it's at resistance. Don't argue with that. Now, if I put volume on here, which I can do just, for the discussion and start study and now, I don't know why this is gray or whatever. So I don't pay much attention to this. So is there a volume spike? So something like this, right? It's coming down and the volume spikes. It's going down. It's creating a void. I'm saying, hey, that's possibly capitulation. Now, as I look at all of this, volume is relatively equal, give or take. So, not like this one up on huge volume, right? It's just kind of like a normal volume. And if we look at SPX, pretty much the same thing. There was a spike up there where it was going up. Now, as this started to come down, there wasn't a volume spike. And you might think, hey, it didn't spike, so maybe that's not a big deal. And I would then say, hey, that's a wide range bar breaking under these lows for 5 days, 6, 7 days. That's a serious bar. I don't care about the volume. So it can be of some information, but overall, I don't find it to be so helpful. Doesn't give me any kind of an edge, looking at that. I just want to know if it's liquid. All right. So intraday would be the same thing if you were looking at an intraday chart. You're looking at the Qs, look, it's been going up here. and it spiked up there on the way up. Oh, that's good. Well, did you really need to see the volume? It's a wide range bar. It gapped up, so that's pretty bullish. You see what I mean? All right, so all right, futures are up here, inside day, same thing, same analysis. Can it get above the highs? Can it get above the lows? And then we go and look at SPX. And a similar idea. How far can we get down below the lows? How far can we get back above the highs? And last I looked, I've got written down 41.75 and 40.35. So, and it's not so far away that it's a no-brainer, but at least this is in the middle of the range and it's got to travel, right? How far does it have to travel to get there, and what's in the way? So breaking below this area of, say, 40.80 opens up the door to coming down there, but that's a pretty far way to go. McGraw's got 41.80, so as this came up a little bit, probably a little bit more premium. So yep, the further we can get away. And 41.35, 41.35, 41.30. Did I write down the wrong thing? 41.35. I think you meant 40.35. Yes, 40.30. Right, 40.30, 40.30, give or take down there. So we're on the same page. And so breaking below here, let's say first thing at the open, wherever prices are, right? We know they're up here. If we see they immediately get flipped back down on a 5-minute bar, that's a big, nasty red bar, I would suggest backing off, because if it starts coming down here, it's possible we can get under 4,000 with some decent premium. So keep that in mind. I'm just looking at other markets and Qs. We're going to have a similar situation. It's just consolidating. And we're going to see, does it get rejected here? Does it get back up to the top of the range where we know sellers are going to show up? And then if it gets up to the top of the range, just remember 10 o'clock reversal period. There's a news report coming out. You might longs, and you get, side, get hit in the, the side there. And so keep it in mind, it's just trading range here. News is coming. Markets are trying to figure out whether they're going to pull back or whether they just break out again or whatever they're going to do. And is China going to do something, and all that kind of stuff that we always worry about. All right. And YM showing a little relative weakness. That had a big red day yesterday. I'm just sitting on a little support here. Let's see what it does. So that's a little bit more of a bearish sign there. And again, I'm repeating, but it's at resistance and it ran up. What it's doing here is normal right now. Russell, kind of a little more to the top of the range there. You can see still within its trading range at resistance. Now, Bitcoin's up a little bit here. That's not giving us any edges, because the markets are waiting for whatever, just consolidation. This didn't participate as much, but so far it's consolidating at resistance as well. You can see this little breakout that failed right there. And, so this little consolidation here that's going on at resistance is positive. It's at a declining 50. Why did my monitors shut off? Okay, came back. So I'm not getting any information here that helps me with any market direction here this morning, looking at Bitcoin. Set alerts a little lower, a little higher. We'll see what happens. Throw a thumbnail up there. Crude oil just sitting here. That looks like it's going to go lower, the inflation thing. But look at what happened here. Look at interest rate. Look at that big green reversal bar. Remember last week we were talking about this and it was breaking down under these lows. And now we've got this wide range bar up, interest rates popping back up again. So markets are nervous, uncertain, consolidating. Where we look, it just kind of adds another layer of well, I really just don't know yet which way things are going to go. So, you know, intraday trading, credit spreads, there's a lot of bottoming patterns. Dan's been shared a bunch of symbols with me, a lot of stuff that bottoming that maybe can pop back up again. So, we're into August. I've seen August. So we had this thing, right? Remember about September is the worst month of the year. We got a whole month before we get into September. Now, I've seen years where August was a market bottom and prices rallied into the middle of September. But here the markets have been going up into August. So is August going to be a continuation pattern where September really then has the fuel to be the nasty month that it historically is? So there's a lot of thinking and what's going to happen here because right now the markets are consolidating. So just I can't say it's confusing because I understand what it's doing and why it's doing it. It's just that we typically would just rather prices have some momentum to move one way or another rather than chop around like this. So, we just have to accept what it is right now and not fight it. Well, we're going to get beat up. All right. So, this is something that it's like, what's gone on with that? It was rolling over and now it's popping back up again, but, within a range there. And of course, that's not going to, silver's not doing much of anything. After that move up, gold popped up with the dollar pullback. And, the dollar, yesterday I mentioned it's pulled back to an area where buyers should show up. And, it's just common sense. It's in an uptrend and it pulls back to an area of price support, rising 50 MA. There's going to be buyers there. Rising dollar, not good for silver and gold. And markets haven't really liked that too much. Interest rates popping up. What's it going to do today? Just what I said. It's in the middle of the range. I'm going to see which way it goes and see what intraday trades. Again, we'll see what's gapping and we'll see what unfolds throughout the trading day. So a lot of talk to just say, let's see what happens. All yours, Dan.
Good morning. Yeah, I got my list out for credit spreads late because there were so many earnings I had to go through, and I've deleted a bunch of them. So let's start just with my favorite list, and then as time goes on, we can prune this down a little bit. But yeah, there's a lot of things setting up, but obviously with the markets where they are, it's making put spreads more difficult, except maybe for some earnings or unique bottoming patterns. So let's see, which puts did I do yesterday? I did Ring, and I gave this one to subscribers. Now the rationale was, and I made it clear, it's in a downtrend on the daily, weekly. I can see it, but it's at major support. Hey, Greg, this is your slowing momentum. So look, this is a bullish new low divergence. The MA's rolling. And this was a key part. It's down from 310 to 49. So we shorted $40 puts, $10 lower. And so 30-minute high, I'm going to be watching this. This is a potential core long for me. So look at that whole list of core longs. They're in the bottom sentence there. PayPal, this is going to take us a while to get on board, but look at the 180 reversal on the monthly. Look at Carvana. I've been saying for like a week or so that I just didn't have the boldness to buy it. It has earnings this week, but that's a big old bottoming pattern. Hood had earnings today. They're firing 23% of the staff, and the thing gaps up. Look at this bottoming pattern. Now we don't have to rush into these. I mean, ring maybe today, we'll see. Look at space. Wide range closing breakout. You know, these, you know, if you're on a trial with us, this is this alone is a good reason to stick around, because these are going to take a little bit before I pull the trigger. Look at SHOP. Is this a consolidation and a downtrend? Yes. But is it the turn? I mean, look at this daily. It's been going sideways for 4 months, and it's above the 20 and 50. I mean, this is an intelligent place to enter. Oh, appreciate that, Stephen. Look at Coup saying, look, some of these things have just gotten beaten to smithereens. 360 to 60, 50. All right, so yeah, I shorted puts on Ring. I also did one on Airbnb. It's gapping against me here. I did the 100s, but I should be fine. I actually, be curious to see if I open up with a profit or not, because it's still $9 out of the money by Friday. All right, let me go through some of my favorites here for the morning. McGraw and other option sellers, I'm going to need your help. SMG, I need more liquid here, but SMG is a big bottoming pattern. If it takes out yesterday's high, then I like it as a put spread, maybe even swing trade. IBB was in the weekend letter, and I left it there. And look, now it's gapping over last week's high, so that's good to go as a put spread. I know Myrna was in there. Myrna's on my list. Sloppier, so that's not a tier 1. Still gapping here, but look at the weekly. This could be a core too. Now, I mean, core to West's weekly, monthly has a big price void. So, I mean, I'm not thinking this is going to 300 or 500, but it could very easily go to 2.25. That's $65 away. So that's on my list. And let me actually add that, because it's not on my list actually. All right, so yeah, Myrna's on my put spread list. So others today, look at S had earnings. Gapping up here to yesterday's high. I'll be looking to sell 24 puts. SMG, I just mentioned. Orgo. I didn't email this to myself. Hold on. So Greg and I were watching this Orgo, a little buy setup after breaking out. I got the alarm at 580. Coin, put spread watch. Look at all this support. That's above the 2050. Look at it weekly. Again, I don't think this is going back to 200. But if it even gets to the 20 MA on the weekly, that's $92. Does that interest anybody? Buying at 67 and going to 92. PXD, gapping up, put spread idea. Moss was yesterday's earnings. But I like the gap negated, and it's gapping up to yesterday's high. That's put spread idea. Splunk put spread idea under these lows. AYX, bottoming pattern, gapping up. Wow, that one's gapping too much actually now. Unum is a shock pattern, gapping up to 34.50. This was a descending triangle, which is bearish. And now it's gapping way up here over the 50 MA. That's a pro gap. Caesar's Palace had a beautiful closing breakout. This is a pattern that I would have sold puts into earnings. But I went through my checklist and there was not enough juice. Oxy, earnings, you know, it was up coming in. We'll come back to you. GNRC, it's too far from the 20. I got two here that are excessive gaps. So I have a category called, it's a bearish gap. There's no question about it. I mean, this is getting its head chopped off. But is it too excessive? Well, nothing's too excessive. What I mean by what I mean is, I don't know what it's going to do, but let's put it in a window and see what it does. Mitch here also getting his clock clean, 60 bucks. I don't know. We just gotta see. It's either happen or it won't. I don't know. CBS gap, it's a gap breakout, but it's a big gap though, so we'll watch a pullback on that. LTHM gap in yesterday's high. See if there's any juice at the 24 puts. So those were all bullish ones. Here's bearish. So bear call credit spreads. This is gapping under a bunch of bars. OMI, bearish. 33, gapping, wow, way down here to the 50. So I don't know if there's going to be any juice. Lumber liquidator, bear gap. So that's a call spread idea. My OHI alarm went off. All right, this is one yesterday had earnings, and I call this a bear gap that bullies with a bullish end of day base. So I had an alarm at 31.80 that just went off. You know, 5-minute high. This looks great. Greg, we're gonna have to come back and talk about that 30-minute high thing, because I like this. I buy 5-minute high, but I can't sit here and watch everything.
Then
But-
just don't give it to people in Telegram. That's all.
Okay, but then that's, you know, that's a disservice to the ones that do know what 5-minute high means. And I do, when I have time, I do go back and I replug in the number.
But Dan, it's not that they don't know. It's that we have a lot of subscribers that place trades. They go to work. Maybe they get an alert on their phone, but
Right.
in a meeting, they cannot watch a chart.
Okay, so guess what? Don't take it. Don't take that one.
Well, you have to explain all that, I guess.
Don't take it. You know, it's like my buffet. I give all kinds of trades. You know, just you don't take that one because you're on a bus going to work. All right, but
And not to discuss here, Dan, but you know, people don't read as much as information you can put in a resource thing. People don't read it. They want to place trades, and you know.
So that one's failing, SMG. But yeah, I love OMI here on 5-minute high. IBB I posted as a put spread.
Tupperware cleared the top of that base.
Yeah, that had earnings.
That pulls back.
There's wow, zero juice on the 30s, but just I like this. I like buy 5-minute high. Oh my. You know, stop under 31. It shouldn't get down there. All right, I just bought right here myself. Who am I? Top of the range, but this daily gap reversal says it's going to go through it. All right, so S Sierra here, a small little gap breakout. I said I said $24 puts plus, we'll check out a directional. Hey, McGraw, the 22 and a halves naked, I had an order pre-market. I'm going to do it now. So let's sell it at 20. All right, Jerk didn't fill me. 45, 22.5 is way the heck down here. So let's sell them at 45 cents.